Welcome back, everyone, to Red Spotlight for our Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. reaction commentary series. As always, this is for the longtime S.H.I.E.L.D. fan who wants to come back here and talk about literally all of the stuff that happens all at once throughout the course of this 7-season show. We've been doing this for 13 weeks already here. We are back now for what is the 14th episode called T.A.H.I.T.I. We made it. Finally, to T.A.H.I.T.I. This is episode 14. This was a broadcast on ABC on March the 4th of 2014, over 10 years ago, by the way, at this point, to 5.46 million viewers. It was written by Jeffrey Bell, who was one of the executive producers of this show, and directed by Bobby Roth. Yeah, this is also one of the big ones here. I'm sure I saw in one of the comments that beginning with last week, we kind of, hilariously enough, because that episode also featured kind of a runaway train, we on the show hit our own runaway train because now it's going to be nonstop, just like a nonstop set of episodes where just like you're on this train and it ain't going to stop until the end of the show, basically. So that's where we're at right now. Again, for those of you who want to hear the whole commentary, you can listen to that on our podcast feed on Red Spotlight. And of course, if you're not, you're watching us on video, then it's going to be here on YouTube. David, I want to begin, obviously, this episode with reading off the comments that we had from last time. Do you have those ready for us?
Yep.
Go ahead.
All right. First ones are from Silva Surfa. Greetings, fellow agents. Always good to spend time with you two. So excited for this episode. Not only is it amazing, but it begins a non-stop awesome ride until the season 1 finale. It's going to be so much fun. Yeah. Agreed. Episode 1. I think we said it like 3 times or something. Like, this just doesn't stop.
Right, yeah.
Yeah. And then gotta give double love for Stan Lee and John Schnepp. Yeah. Did he make a cameo in the episode, by any chance? Or was it just
You mean John Schnepp?
Yeah.
No. I think it's just John Schnepp.
Oh, okay, my bad.
That's why he's bringing up. I remember last week I brought him up because I'm out of the blue. I brought him up and I wanted to just give my love to that man. But then also Stan Lee was in the episode and they're both dead. So that's why.
Okay. All right. And then I want to add to my Gemma Will comment. I understood why she had relations with Will. To be honest, I just like teasing the Fitzsimmons diehards who proclaim they are the TV's greatest couple. Fitzsimmons are my number 3 favorite couple, behind number 2, Desmond Penny of Lost, and nobody were up top, Gomez and Morticia from the OG Addams Family show, in my opinion.
It's really, I mean, I'm thank you for the comment there. Appreciate it all the time. It's, you know, we haven't talked too much about the Fitzsimmons fandom on this show because we haven't gotten there yet, but it should be noted it is a fierce and devoted following, if you will. Yeah, Fitzsimmons is to me one of like the craziest and just beautiful love stories, especially when it comes to genre storytelling. It's incredible to me that if we talk about it in the context of Marvel, and if we care, not that we all do, but if we care to associate, this show with any of the other Marvel franchise, I mean, is it really hard to question? I feel like this particular romance blows every other out of the water and doesn't even come close. Now, granted, of course, Fitzsimmons had the benefit of having the long-form storytelling television, storytelling that had, going in its favor. It had the benefit of actually having creatives who cared to flesh out character and themes. Oh, and by the way, they also based it on themselves. The creators of the show, Jen Whedon and Marissa Tangerone. So it's like, that played a big freaking part in this as well. So I think to me, it's like, hey, it's just so funny to me throughout the many years that we've been covering Marvel and the MCU. One of the main criticisms of the MCU is that the machine has gotten so much in the way that the directors or the creatives that they bring in can't really imbue part of who they are into the project themselves. That didn't happen with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Now, did it? Now, that isn't to say that this is the case with all of the TV shows or whatever, what have you, but I can just say confidently This one right here, and you could argue that it had the benefit of the fact that there was more attention being put on literally anywhere else besides the show. But I think it's pretty extraordinary that, for all of the 10 plus years that we have been screaming at Marvel for them to allow the people that they hired to actually do the job that they were hired for, here you had this creative team just literally put themselves into the show through their characters, and it absolutely shows. It's an intense fandom. I don't have to speak for you, David. You're a big Fitz Simmons stan.
Oh, for sure. I actually can't think of another TV show couple that I like, honestly. Just nothing really is popping into my head. I can think of like other relationships within like movies and video, and not video games, and books and everything, but TV shows specifically, I can't think of anything else. Weirdly, I don't know. So yeah, they're for sure my favorite. Garrett Marshall commented on their sofas. There are so many great TV couples that I find it hard to rank them. And for me, Fitzsimmons is definitely top tier alongside Steed and Mrs. Peel from The Avengers, David and Maddie from Moonlighting, and Willow and Tara from Buffy, to name but a few. And yes, Gomez and Morticia are also on that top tier.
Okay.
Never heard of those other shows. Sorry. So I don't know. I'm sure they're great couples.
I've heard some of those shows.
I heard the shows, but I don't know about the
ships. I've seen any of them.
Yeah, same. I know the only one I recognize was Buffy, but yeah, I've never seen the show.
Yeah.
Gary Marshall commented, Gemma's story arc in this episode is insanely good and really captures her character. In the first act, we see her as an undercover agent, very much out of her depth, but she didn't shirk her responsibility and does her best. In the second act, she has a brief but important role where she does a Steve Rogers on a live grenade. That didn't even think of that comparison, actually. The second time this season when she's taken one for the team, and in the last act, she takes command and to save Skye, albeit with a little help from Garrett by putting her in the hyperbaric chamber. When back on the bus, Gemma then gives her report to Coulson before breaking down in private. Love that Fitz knows this and is there to console her. The hand on the shoulder is definitely a Fitzsimmons trait, which is passed down to a certain grandson that will meet in time. Apologies for the length of this post, but I feel it does get lost sometimes in all the events that happen in this episode. Don't care about how long this is. If you want to analyze the shit out of a scene, go for it.
Hey, anybody out there who's watching or listening, you have our permission to please drone on as long as you possibly want. Have you heard me talk? Do I ever care to stop? Like maybe every half hour I stop talking. It's like, what do you think, David? That's how it feels like sometimes. Like, please none of us mind reading long messages or long comments. I appreciate that deep dive as well.
Mm-hmm.
That whole part about it didn't even occur to me to think about Deke in this situation, but that's actually pretty accurate.
Mm-hmm. And I like the comparison of the grenade thing, live grenade.
Yeah,
with Steve Rogers. Mm-hmm. Definitely awesome. But yeah, you can write an entire essay. We don't care. We'll read it, yes. Or maybe skim it down. But either way, we'll read it.
We'll respond to it for sure.
Yeah,
we enjoyed. We're doing this for a reason, guys. It's like interacting with you guys and interacting with this show itself, and then just reliving it again is this is part of that experience. So please feel free to. Don't even limit yourself. Go crazy with the comments, please. Go ahead.
Okay. And then Serenity Forever said, Tracks is my favorite episode of AOS Season 1. As for when did Jed Mode decide Skye would be Quake, this quote from an Entertainment Weekly interview after What They Become, Eric explains the plan. When did you guys decide that Skye was actually Daisy Johnson, Marissa Tenterowen? She said, that was our goal from the beginning. Of course, there are always the series of clearance, but we always knew we wanted to evolve Skye into something else. Daisy Johnson was the main character and that we wanted to go for. We got confirmation on that very early on, so we've been on that track ever since. So
that's actually I had long since forgotten that interview. That's an old one, but I'm sure this was done around the time that it was revealed that she would be Quake from the comics. yeah, I feel like that's important context to add to this, and thank you very much for bringing that to our attention here because I had forgotten about that but yeah, that's pretty cool to think that this is where they were going for from the very beginning. Um, I would say that they very much they set up a clear mystery about the 084 and her and you know her parents and all that stuff. I should say though that now knowing that this is where they were always going to go, it's pretty. I feel that almost makes it even better because now again, I don't think it was ever their intention to do this in the first season. And I think a lot of others would prefer it be the case. I think they unveiled it at the perfect time, personally speaking. But knowing that they were always going to go in this direction from day one, that's pretty fucking cool. And
Mm-hmm.
honestly, you could have fooled me. Like it never even occurred to me, honestly, this whole and keeping in mind, of course, I'm trying to think back of myself 10 years ago watching this show for the first time. It never crossed my mind that they were going to give her superpowers or that she was actually a character that they were thinking from the comics. Like that was like not that it, and I don't mean that it came out of nowhere that they hadn't like done the groundwork to build that up. It was just like, wow, that's awesome. I never would have thought they would do something like that. As a loyal viewer of the show from the
Mm-hmm.
very beginning. I mean, nobody thought from the very beginning that this was going to be, I mean, first a character from the comics, but then also a full-fledged superhero, like what they actually do with her. That's pretty freaking incredible. Props to them for being able to do that.
Mm-hmm. Jack Dubs said, as I understand it, this is the first episode to be written once the writers had started to receive audience feedback. While the previous 12 were written in a vacuum before or as the show was airing on ABC, T.A.H.I.T.I was crafted with full knowledge of what the show's audience was responding to and what parts they were cold on. And it shows, as I have become accustomed to saying in reaction videos for this episode, it's all fun and games until Sky takes two in the gut. After that point, all bets are off, and the show is never the same again. True.
That's also really interesting information added on to this whole odyssey that we call season one of Agents of Shield. To think that I would like to see, in fact, there may be documentation of when exactly the episodes were written here. Um, but because it's hard to really track which ones there were, but according to that comment, the first 12 were already set, it seemed like, before it premiered, or before, I guess the comment was saying that this was the first episode where they were able to actually incorporate the the what was being said about the show. Correct? Can you reread that comment one more time, David?
Sure. As I understand it, this is the first episode to be written once the writers had started to receive audience feedback, while the previous 12 were written in a vacuum. Before, as the show was airing on ABC, T.A.H.I.T.I was crafted with full knowledge of what the show's audience was responding to and what parts they were called on. And it shows, as I have become accustomed to saying in reaction videos for this episode, it's all fun and games until Sky takes two in the gut.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
After
I
that
got
point.
that. Okay. That's what I wanted to make sure of here. That's really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Because there is such a big jump when you hit the last episode that we did. We had a blast last week with that episode. Tracks is fucking amazing.
Mm-hmm.
I remember watching it, like I said, for the first time, and I'm like, where the fuck did this come from, man? This is such a good episode, you know?
Yeah, for
And the way
sure.
that it just starts and it goes. And you keep in mind of the first 12 episodes, you know, some odd ones don't do that, but for the most part, your standard episode began with almost like an X-Files kind of like cold open that didn't even involve any of the main characters. So not that that goes away completely, but you notice something a bit of a more urgency. This is the part of the season where it's like really ramping up here. All right, next.
Yeah. Last one. Last one's from Gary Marshall. Some fun trivia for this episode. Gemma telling Coulson that he doesn't look old enough to be her father is a nice callback to Fist when she tells Coulson that is very fit for a man of your age. Gemma's I excel at preparation is a nice callback-ish to a deleted scene from the previous episode where Fitz says to Skye that Simmons loves homework more than life itself.
That's true.
Was that a deleted scene? Or was that...
I remember seeing it. I'm not sure if it was deleted, but it's funny how they're describing it. I'm like,
I'm pretty sure we saw that.
I've seen that.
Either we remember seeing it, or it's just that is definitely something that they would say. So it's like we can imagine it.
Yeah,
I don't know.
It could be a situation where we're just like thinking it happened, but it didn't really happen. But it sounds like something that she would say. So
yeah. After the Stanley cameo, you can see Clark mouthing Lil's lines almost as if he didn't think he was in frame. I gotta look at that.
Ooh, that's interesting. We gotta go back and look at that.
You never had any time for her, but you made time for your work and your prostitutes.
This is the second time we get a reference to Simmons and Fish. The first being Fury's line about the fish shank in 084, something that will reoccur right up to the finale. What was the fish comment? I can't remember.
From 084?
No, in this episode. In Trex. Yeah.
I don't quite know. It doesn't stand out.
Yeah, same. Okay.
But I guess somebody will bring it to our attention.
Maybe.
Okay. Shall we go ahead and begin with this new episode? This is T.A.H.I.T.I. This is a big one, folks. This is a pretty big... Do you remember much about this episode, David?
T.A.H.I.T.I. I'm assuming this is the episode where they're going to try to look for the thing that basically cured or brought back.
That's the one.
Yeah.
This is the one.
I remember
Do you remember it mostly? Some things that are foggy.
A lot of it's foggy. I just remember that is like the main mission. So.
All right. Okay, so let's see how much you can recall.
Dangerous sending her in like that all alone.
Jesus. Oh God. Seeing that again is just... I remember you were like, damn. When he shot her the second time, like, what?
I freaked
the
out.
Second shot?
Intubate and let's start getting that shirt off.
Here. Lock it off. We have 2 liters standing by.
Shout out to the makeup man. Really good job here. Making her look fucking dead.
And blood. Again. More than anything else.
Forgot we gotta keep the blood count, the bloodometer going.
Mm-hmm. And last episode we didn't mention it.
Yeah, that's right. Mm-hmm. And for those of you who are confused as to why we care so much that there's blood on screen, it's because it's been a long-standing joke how there's been a complete absence next to a complete absence of blood when you think about the MCU movies. And how, Kevin Feige was like bragging how that Moon Knight was the bloodiest show ever.
Mm-hmm.
I think S.H.I.E.L.D. already in 13 episodes has more blood than Moon Knight probably ever did.
The message is I have an agent dying and there are questions only he can answer.
It's a hard thing. I'm not sure if they ever expected to be good news here, but she did get like shot twice in the gut. Like, I don't know how you come back from that.
Mm-hmm.
But still, this is a tough scene.
No, yeah. And the blood loss too. Like, she was literally just white at the end of the last episode.
So what's next?
We can keep her comfortable, but you'll need to make a decision on whether or not you want to keep her on life support. I'm saying you need to call her family. Get them here as soon as possible.
We're her family.
I was beginning to think you forgot.
I love how May doesn't even think twice, and how she just marches. And what happened? Remember what happens here?
I don't remember it, but I mean, it's easy to guess that this was going to happen. Like, one of them was going to. I wouldn't be surprised if even like Fitz went in doing this,
May! She said there was nothing more they could do for her. But there are doctors who brought me back from the dead. If they can do that, I'm betting they can save Skye.
That's a pretty good bet. Also, what I love about this moment, it's interesting how so much of the season, Skye has really thought, and also the audience to an extension, right, has kind of felt that May didn't give a fuck about her. If only they could see her now. I mean, look how, of all the people to like kind of go ape shit first, it was May. Like, how the fuck, like, right? Like, she just went in there and she's like, and she, like, this should put to bed that she legitimately does care about Skye at this point.
I know they saved you.
They did a lot more than save me. It's time you know the truth.
Which, by the way, is the whole reason Ward's even there. That's his secret mission, is to find out, you know, how do they really bring Coulson back? And we're about to be joined by somebody who is literally needing to push the needle a little bit because those answers aren't coming fast enough. Why is Skye right now out of commission? Why is she shot? Because Quinn was ordered by the clairvoyant. These answers are not coming fast enough. And remember, the clairvoyant himself is dying. So he needs those answers to come fast and furious right now, which is why he pushed that button, basically. And so here we are. This is forcing Coulson to get these answers.
I'm not sure I'd make this play. Fly halfway around the world hoping for a second miracle.
But also at the same time, Grant here is pissed because he has legitimate feelings for Skye. And he knows his boss is behind all of this. And so it's like, you know, he's here to do the job, but now his job has probably, in this instance anyway, cost him the girl he liked. In the sense of her almost dying.
If I scratch my pain, I'm gonna be pissed.
Also, I love that they CGI'd that. Ooh.
Yeah.
I didn't know it came out here. Wow.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about.
Also, I like that she CGI'd that. They didn't need to. They could have just added like the sound effects and had like a shaky cam saying like, "Oh, they're docking and all that." But no, they added it. That was cool.
On Triplet,
Shout out to the effects.
Agent Philip Coulson. You wouldn't know it to look at him, but Agent Grant Ward.
Trip. Scared upstairs?
Yeah. You know he still talks about that 1,000-yard shot you took on Von Doon's.
Oh, I should also mention this is also the debut of Antoine Triplet here.
Yeah.
Agent Triplet. We didn't. Sorry, we went past what's his name? Garrett coming into it, and I love how immediately we get a sense of you know, Coulson and him having a previous history encountering each other. And then of course your Triplet ended up being Ward's replacement. That's also very interesting here.
It all sounds so diabolical.
I agree. We can't argue with the results. He's walking around.
Was it just me, or did it look like she was also like interested in the whole thing? She says diabolical, but she's
they are
like,
interested. But yeah, I mean, it's a fine lineup. But even, you know, Fitz right there in that instance said, well, yeah, but you still can't argue with the results. He is walking around.
Yeah.
So it's like you have to keep in mind that they're both scientists, right? And there's a natural sense of curiosity with them both. But yeah, you know, both of them, as we see, very amazingly in season 6, they both have a dark side. Remember, Gemma puts hers away, and every now and then that dark side gets let out. Don't forget, at the beginning of season 6, she literally has like this alien guy strung up, and then is like basically making threats about like, you know, dissecting him and all the organs that would come out. So, you know.
No.
I don't know if you saw me, but I started laughing as soon as they showed Quinn. It's because he looks all fucked up.
Yeah, the makeup is amazing, right?
Clairvoyant sees everything. Except what happened to him.
I thought I was gone for seconds. Turns out it was days.
That's impossible. You don't know what S.H.I.E.L.D. did to save you.
That's why we're flying to where I was treated.
So shooting the girl forces you to either figure it all out.
So the clairvoyant can finally see.
It's a hell of a setup.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
also crazy that the clairvoyant is right there. It's like,
right,
wow, you
time.
motherfucker. I can't believe you.
Maybe they exist somewhere else. This is S.H.I.E.L.D. There are always secrets.
That's my fear, sir.
the whole time he was right there.
Mm. And then just like you can't just help but like look at him when he's acting. You just like him pretending like, oh, this is the clairvoyance plan. What? It's just like you bitch. Like I was.
No, for reals. And then I feel like
if this file is even partially accurate,
no one's suggesting that we submit Sky to everything that I went through, but
kind of obvious to us that he was always the clairvoyant. He came at the exact right moment.
We need to find it.
He showed up at the exact time that they were gonna focus on this.
Mm-hmm.
Some kind of drug.
Agent Coulson was injected with it, and literally minutes later, his wound showed signs of cellular regeneration.
It means that Fury had it on hand on the helicarrier. They had that T.A.H.I.T.I ready to go because it was, intended to revive an Avenger. This whole initiative, the T.A.H.I.T.I protocol, was intended to revive a fallen Avenger. So Fury had that stuff ready to go.
Mm-hmm.
It seemed like, because look at what Gemma just said. Literally minutes later, after he died, they injected it into him, and then that began to repair the damaged tissue.
Well, let's start with the travel memoranda from the date Coulson got stabbed.
Okay.
It's so cool how they can do this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Because for me, it kind of like, how do you even visualize this? I can't even, like, what are you even doing,
Mm-hmm.
Much less as actors, how do you know what to do with your hands? Like, how do you see this in your head,
Yeah.
It's not an encryption.
I love this. This is so cool. It's the actual location. Right there.
we do our jobs right, this will all go peacefully.
What if they don't want to help us?
It's not going to be revealed yet. I think it'll be revealed in the next episode. But it's really interesting because, and Coulson acknowledges this. It's they're trying to grasp for something. Maybe they have this T.A.H.I.T.I drug and it can help her recover. But then is the step that comes after. And they really lucked out. The fact that Sky had alien DNA in her system, because if it probably wasn't for that, what would have happened was T.A.H.I.T.I using the Kree blood, it would start basically taking over. Those memories would start taking over Sky.
But we have a team member in dire need of medical assistance. We know she can be treated here. Open the doors, maybe we can work something out. Do you copy?
And they point that out in the next episode.
How was the drive from Istanbul?
Pretty pleased it is.
Well, actually, I should say maybe they point that out in the next season. There was even a scene where Coulson apologizes that they had to spy on Sky for that very reason.
Mm-hmm.
These guys are good. Hacked their way in. How the hell did they find this place? Doesn't matter. Didn't know the countersign.
We've come for medical assistance, but if you continue firing on us, we will defend ourselves. Ward! I might have spent some time here a while back.
You know about the timer.
It's probably a failsafe. If the guards had eliminated us, they'd stop the timer.
Since they didn't.
It's some kind of emergency override.
Good scene. We didn't talk about it much, but yeah, it was good. Good action. Like the little reveal.
She's very lucky to have you. I know anything bad ever happens to me, hope you're in my corner too.
Which, interesting. I'm not sure if that was intentional foreshadowing, but like when he just said anything bad happens to me, I mean, and the way that she looks at him, he'll die in about a season, and the way that he dies is really gonna weigh heavy on Gemma for sure. It weighs heavy on her to the point where she's becomes a bit paranoid over all the alien technology that has been used and sought after. And then here we go. I love this musical motif here by Bear McCreary. So haunting, so creepy.
Don't let me die, please. Let me die!
We should put suits on before we go in there.
You're right, but there's no time.
I mean, he's right. There's no fucking time to do anything.
Yeah.
You need to find something.
This is the one we want.
We gotta go. Get it up to Simmons.
Yeah.
Sir.
Would take a few more of those.
Hmm.
They're about to go boom anyways. Oh, this right here.
I do remember this. Where he pulls out.
Can we slip through?
Yeah.
Go. Get that drug up there.
Now right here, with Fitz out of the way, off screen,
Make sure that drug gets to the girl.
Agent Garrett.
Go! Save the girl!
Garrett is going to be able to get in there and grab some vials while no one is able to detect him. So while Coulson's inside having a, oh my god, what the fuck, Garrett's going to grab some of those tubes of GH325, and we're going to see him present those to Reyna in a few episodes, hoping that she can replicate this. So that's already happened. So, and then Garrett is here pretending that he's been looking out for him the whole time.
The guys are out already. They took the drug up to Scott.
No, don't give it to her. The drug? They can't give it to her.
I'm not sure. One minute he was fine, the next it was like he'd seen a ghost.
Well, close. Pretty close about what he saw down there. I mean, how did you even process that, David?
If it had gone the other way, if Sky hadn't survived, were you really prepared to throw Quen off this plane?
You were the one who made that threat. I just asked to keep him on the plane for a while.
You're right.
Really interesting question Garrett asks Coulson there. You know, I think Garrett legitimately considers Phil a friend, in his own way, obviously. Part of me wonders if maybe he felt like there might have been a world where Coulson would have joined Hydra, if anything, and why. But of course, that would never happen. Well, technically it did in the framework, right?
Well, not even in the framework.
I mean, he bought into the brainwash propaganda. Remember, he was like, Inhumans, why we fear them.
True.
He wasn't Hydra, but...
To not use the drug. To not use it on Sky. Why? What made you change your mind?
I love this reveal, man. This is one of the best reveals because I don't think you see it coming a mile away, not even anywhere close. Like when he opens up that fucking drawer and when we find out what he sees, like, what? What the fuck?
I just got really scared that she would suffer the way that I did. But she didn't.
We know what it is. But in the moment, we don't. And it's like, Probably, this might be the only episode I can think of where Chloe Bennett has like no lines.
Oh yeah, true.
Right?
Oh my gosh, I know what's setting up here.
This is such a messed up situation.
I know.
Remember this? What happens here? This it's a nice post-credit scene, but I mean,
this is Death Valley.
Oh. I seek passage from this Valley of Death to a more bountiful land.
Of all the places to land on the planet, fucking Death Valley.
You should ask the manager inside. Maybe there's a bus later today.
That's the only place hotter than where we lived, where I live anyway.
Yeah, I prefer Nicole to pretty much everyone. That's why I married her.
This is actually probably like the longest after credits,
right? Yeah.
I don't know if I should say after credit or after
Post-credit.
logo, post credit, whatever.
Yeah, let's just call it a post credit.
Yeah.
Or you can call it a tag, I guess.
Tag is probably better.
Jimmy!
That's so sad.
I know. That's
all right. Well, that was T.A.H.I.T.I. Now, with the full context of it, now we can remember. I'm very much. I'm happy you remembered about the clairvoyant. He was there the whole time. Oh my god! Just wow. I remember for the first time seeing this episode back after knowing the twist, and I'm like, wow! It was staring us in the face the entire time. Well, let's see. I mean, let's just first and foremost, really, really good episode there. I feel like we hardly spoke this time because we were just like, you know, just watching it because it's such you get sucked up in it. Like again, this is one of the best attributes of the show for sure. But I think in this episode, it kind of one of the better examples of that. So I mean, I forgive us if we didn't have too much commentary to say here, but it was mostly just kind of like we're just
we were sucked in
it,
there,
you know?
and I mean a lot of it's also just kind of action, so it's kind of hard to give comments on every single second of it, other than just that was a neat fight.
yeah, but it is, as you say, mostly just action. All right, let's see what AV Club thought. This was written by Oliver Sava. Let's see here. ABC and Marvel Studios are making a very big deal about Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. delivering more of the fantastic developments fans were expecting from the beginning in these final episodes. But except for a few months at the end of T.A.H.I.T.I, this week's story is very much in line with what preceded it. Sky's been shot, the team disobeys orders to find a cure, touchscreens are used. Action sequences unfold in dark, nondescript locations. The team spends a lot of time in their goddamn plane. And then there are some interesting reveals in the final moments to suggest cool things to come. It's not horrible, but it is bland. Although the appearance of recurring guest star Bill Paxton spices things up a bit by adding the gruff old son of a bitch to the show. Okay. Couple of things to address already at the top of this. I don't know how differently we can put this, and since we've already kind of addressed some of these concerns, I don't really know why you're watching the show at this point, right? Because this is what the show is. And if this is bugging you that much, maybe don't watch it. But then also at the same time, why is this bugging you that much? And then the whole thing, like, yeah, they spent a lot of time on this plane. I'm sorry to tell you, maybe you weren't informed, but they don't really have money to be elsewhere.
Mm-hmm.
Also, I'm sorry, but like, at no point while watching an episode like this, did it occur to me, oh my God, get off the damn plane already. I want to be in some amazing, exotic, wild locations. Why aren't we out? This isn't a movie. I'm sorry to tell you this, but this is a show on broadcast network television that is one of 22. I'm sorry, but like, it is so demonstrably unfair and just so, it rings so false to have this kind of criticism against a show like this when you wouldn't have it against any other broadcast show. Just because it had the name Marvel on top of it at the time, it evidently gave license to people just going ahead and attacking the budget and attacking the sets. And I'm like, you know what? Part of that could be that part of the unrealistic expectation was this embedded belief that somehow, because it had the Marvel name on it, meant Marvel Studios was in charge of producing it. Which, by the way, I am so sorry to tell you this, but Marvel Studios and Kevin Feige not being involved in the show made the show as good as it was. From the very beginning to the very end. Because if they had more involvement, and if they were giving you the big effects that you wanted and all those other locations, you would have had 8 episodes for a season. They wouldn't have been as good, because I'm sorry to have to tell you and having to say this again. And I know that at the time in 2013, 2014, this was not the perception of things. But in the long run of the MCU, there have, at this point, been some pretty evident gaps in logic of storytelling, logic of filmmaking. It has been pretty documented at this point how much of a machine Marvel became, to where the fact that everything was being neglected. And it also just, I don't know, it is so just strange to me to say, after watching an episode like this, that this is bland. Although, I don't know if it was this person or if it was the other guy, but when The Dark World came out, in their recap of S.H.I.E.L.D., their review, they had put in a little mention of The Dark World, saying how much better that was. Okay. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to go on a tangent over only that one paragraph, but that's where we were. Yeah, let me see here. I'm just going to give you a summary of that because it gets old. So here's a condensed version of that review. So they gave it a B- and praised it for its character development, particularly that of Skye, while stating that the show still needed to find a way to balance plot acceleration with character development, and that the agents talk about how they are a family and need each other, but those personal bonds aren't fully formed yet. I'm sorry to have to say this, but if you really do feel that way, maybe the show just isn't for you. Because I'm sorry to have to say this again, but I think, and David and I have been saying this the entire time, like, I can't believe it's not working on you, but it's working on us. Like, we buy them as a family unit.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know what to actually, I mean, I don't know, but in reading the reviews on a weekly basis, it comes across that you just don't, it doesn't connect. And so you feel as if these things are absent, but they've been building to this idea of them being a family unit since the very beginning. This didn't come out of nowhere. And then it continues with, if S.H.I.E.L.D. is going to deliver truly powerful stories, it needs to find a way to define those relationships and deliver spectacular action. All right. Let's see what Eric Goldman thought on IGN. After a badly timed month-long break, Jesus Christ, let me see here. This episode was aired on March 4th. The last episode was February 4th. Dear God. I told you this was the fucking Olympics. Really? And then ABC, I shouldn't blame the Olympics. You should blame ABC for not timing this the right way. But Jesus, these breaks are brutal. But after a badly timed month-long break, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. was finally back this week in an installment that was entertaining, though didn't quite continue the notably confident feeling of the last episode. One thing for sure, adding Bill Paxton into the mix is never a bad thing, and it was a great thing to see. It was great to see the veteran actor make his debut as Agent John Garrett. Initially, though, I was a bit disappointed by the portrayal of Garrett, who was fairly mundane, quippy, tough guy. However, Garrett began to find his groove in the second half, especially when he deadpanned to Fitz about the horrible death we're walking into. Fitz, in turn, had a nice showing in that sequence, not letting Garrett get to him and fighting past his nervousness. This episode did suffer a bit from we'll do anything to save Skye of it all, given how it just did it. Okay, this goes on to, it didn't feel earned, we're a family, okay, whatever, it didn't work on him, fine. On that front, it's nice how Garrett has a history with both Coulson and Ward, with Paxton set to appear in several more episodes. Hopefully Garrett can be used to show different facets of these guys. Meanwhile, his right-hand man, Agent Tripp, has a clumsy bonding scene with Simmons. Oh, I get quickly finding her attractive, but telling her, I know if anything bad happens to me, I hope you're in my corner too, was just awkward and way too... Was it?
I can agree with that a little bit.
But I mean, it was...
Because, I mean, they literally just met. Why would he already be like, oh, I hope you're on my side when we, like, if we get into a bad situation, it's kind of like,
They just met, but we'll think about what was established in that scene.
No, yeah.
That she had already been taking care of her for a while. Like, she literally hasn't left Skye's side. And then also, when you just meet a person, yeah, I feel like in the moment that we were meant to believe that he finds her attractive, and there's a bond there already. Like
I can believe. I know that look that they give each other. It can be from attraction and everything and all that. But that line specifically, oh, like I hope you're by my side and all that. It's kind of like feels a little bit too soon. Maybe just something less. It's like she's lucky. Maybe something like I hope I would get someone like you by my side if I'm ever in trouble. Something like that would have been better. Because her specifically, it's like you just met though. You know?
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. The added bits of info on what happened to Coulson were intriguing, as it turned out the people who worked on him weren't even from S.H.I.E.L.D., and that, it seems, Nick Fury went way off the grid to save Coulson, including, bringing him to the guest house. So what the hell was the GH person and or alien? Kree? Question mark? Coulson saw before the place blew up. There is no simple, quick answer, but it certainly is more interesting to ponder than some of the breadcrumbs we were given in the past. The closing scene introducing, Lorelai, blah, 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 blah. S.H.I.E.L.D. is still not a appointment television program. I want it to be, even as it stumbles into the right direction. The introduction of Garrett has some notable elements added to Coulson. Now, if they can just get us to love the core characters as much as we're told they love each other. Okay. Those are the reviews. David. It's not really, they are what they always are, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, they're not necessarily as negative as they used to be, but they're still pointing out some things where it's like, I don't know, man. I feel like we're
comment of like, oh, it doesn't feel earned that they're a family unit. It's like, no, they've set it up pretty well that they care about each other and all that. And to add to the trip thing, it does. I do think the line was weird that like, I hope you're by my side and all that, blah, blah, blah. But him pointing out though that like, they're a family and everything, they're a family unit, they care about one another. It's not really there to point it out for us that they're a family. I think you can look at it as he knows that this is a weird situation. Like usually, like when you're working with agents, you're not really just family. You're just kind of like partners. You either have each other's backs or you don't, and everything. So I think it's just mostly like pointing out like their situation is very different from any other group within S.H.I.E.L.D. So
yeah. It was really one of these like breakneck pace episodes with nonstop action, and I don't know if there were any like notable action sequences, but there were pretty good action sequences, and I think you're getting a general vibe that there is a sense of improving going around all around, I would say. But then also with tracks being the previous episode, we're also getting this sense that something has shifted with the show, that we're now moving straight ahead with the main villain, the main storylines, and we're all about to converge with a big reveal happening pretty soon. And it's going to become pretty interesting as we get closer and closer to that event. We need to go back and look at the trailers or what was being said publicly, because I don't know if there was how much emphasis there was being put on before having seen Winter Soldier, how much that was going to change the show Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Unfortunately, though, by that point, many people were like checked out of the series. So I guess we'll see. Anything else to say for this week?
No, just another good episode, and I'm excited for next one. I know this one.
Which is the next one? Oh yeah, that one. We'll see that one. That's gonna be interesting. All right, guys, we will see you next time. Stay tuned under our Red Spotlight for more content and more. Bye bye.
Bye.